Subscriber and Wavy. Today got this one right here. Diablo 4. Is it worth playing? Let's react to it.
Diablo 4 is a brand new ARPG that released in June 2023. In this game you'll choose from one of the game's 5 classes and embark on a fully voice-acted story-driven campaign full of cutscenes.
Completely voice acted. It's insane.
Where you'll hunt down Lilith, the creator of Sanctuary, whose goal is to destroy both heaven and hell so that Sanctuary can find eternal peace. Diablo 4 features a massive open world with diverse biomes full of collectibles, dungeons and events. The game has a transmog system where you can also dye your gear, an extensive skill system that starts off simple but branches out with a ton of depth and possibilities once you hit level 50 and unlock the Paragon tree. Unlike previous Diablo games,
after like level 60 or 50, it's not just about the legendary gear or about the green numbers. You need to really look into your stats or you won't get far.
You can traverse the world on your horse, take on world bosses with other players, partake in PvP, and gear up with various new systems such as the Tree of Whispers, Helltides, Strongholds, and Legion events, before pushing your character to their limits in Nightmare Dungeons as you unlock World Tier 4 to take on the game's final challenge waiting for you at level 100. In this video I go into Diablo 4 relatively blind as a somewhat casual ARPG player after only playing the game briefly during the beta. This video is sponsored by Blizzard, but they've allowed me full creative freedom to do my usual pros and cons list at the end. If you like what you see in this video...
That's nice what he's saying right now, but there still might be a bit of bias. I created 2 characters. One of them is like just level 50 and the other one is like something with 30, 40, I guess. Druid Barbarian, but yeah, until now I didn't really find something which was too annoying, except that the main city, something like Yuvoshat, is still a bit laggy on my part. Like, I don't know if it's my PC, I have my RTX, but sometimes it's it lags there, but that's not a huge problem. They fixed most of the bugs from the beta. It was insanity how bad the beta was.
Then click the link in the description below to buy Diablo 4 on your platform of choice. Here it is, Diablo 4, it's finally fully released. I already know what I'm going to play. I'm going to play the Sorcerer, even though I'm aware that it's not S tier. Apparently Barbarian is super strong, but I'm a mage in every game, so easy choice. Hardcore heroes die permanently. I definitely want to try this, but not for my first character. Big damage. Start with World Tier 2.
And not at the beginning of a released Blizzard game. We need time to fix that shit, and it's really not worth it. Dying of lag or some network error on your hardcore character is pretty upsetting, man.
Let's go. Fun fact, the last time
I played Realm of the Mad God and I know this feeling too well, dying of like lag or some shit. It's insanity. Rubber Band was a huge problem as well, man.
I covered this game, the video got demonetized because it's too gory. Not really much of a surprise. I also appealed the demonetization and the appeal was rejected, so...
Obviously.
Yeah, Diablo 4, unmonetizable. Now, as much as I'm not playing on proper hardcore mode, I'm going to try not to die during this video. I'm going to play the game as if it is hardcore mode, but without the stakes of actually having to start my character again. This looks like a final boss room. Lights War Room. Yep.
Oh, the Den Mother.
I'm fighting a werewolf monster, the Den Mother.
Good at the beginning.
Oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
With a barb, I nearly died there.
Getting jumped on by 50 wolves is not pleasant. And one more zap. Should be dead. There it is. I like these little world events that pop up. They're pretty cool. Very quickly starting to get some big damage online. Level 15. I love the detail on the floor in this section of the game. Super cool. Ooh, almost dead. Standing in too much stuff. Don't worry, Narelle, your mum was meant to die. I'm excited for my build to really come online. I haven't really experienced the glory of a fully finished build in Diablo 4 yet.
Yeah,
feels like my damage is kind of lacking now compared to earlier in the game. And it's dead. Anything good? A yellow hood.
I think both boss fights were just 10 times more creative than the Diablo 3 boss fights. Like, yeah, I still played Diablo 3 a lot over different seasons. I didn't play all seasons, just some of them, but in those times when I played the game, I really put time and effort into it. Even tried to farm the Cosmic Wings, but never got them. I guess I'm unlucky, but yeah. Still, D4 boss fights, top tier.
Put him out of his misery.
They could put in more or harder ones. I would really appreciate much more challenges, even though they are still like not that bad. Really good.
Got ourselves a treasure goblin, frost nova, big damage. So far I've been playing the game on world tier 2, but apparently most people are playing on world tier 1 because it's much faster. I'm going to switch this here and see how different it feels.
Just for the fun of it, I played on world tier 2 because I just want to have fun with the game. It's not all about just grinding as fast as possible to level 100. It's not about that, especially not in D4. Maybe in seasonal content it might be a time where I just want to be efficient, but for your first playthrough, I just recommend just play it how you want to. Don't look to any guides until you are really, really struggling, but yeah, it's like the same with PoE. You don't look into any guide or something until you are at a point where you really struggle.
For me, I'd say this is the first really cool boss fight with actual mechanics in the game. I do quite like this one. There's a lot of movement to it, and it's dead. GG. Ooh, our first legendary. Increased damage with barrier active, mana cost reduction. Yeah, that's good for pretty.
In this boss fight, you get a guaranteed legendary as far as I am. I think, yeah.
Pretty much everything. Rest in peace, Vigo. Oh, okay, another legendary's popped out. Yep. So I was supposed to do this quest upon hitting level 15, a class quest. But apparently it's going to upgrade my abilities quite a bit, so let's go do that.
Always do those priority quests.
Completely forgot to upgrade my healing potion. We've finally done that now.
Happens.
Dude, what killed me?
A swing? Yeah, he got one-shotted. Damn.
That was some damage. Kind of sad. That was my first death. Bit of a newbie way to die. I guess I just didn't think I was going to die. Enhanced ice armor. This seems huge. More mana regen. Go in the shack and now we're going to perform a ritual that will apparently enhance my spells. I love seeing all these glyphs on the floor. The attention to detail is really cool.
Something is wrong.
Of course something's wrong. Something always goes wrong. Enhancement slots unlocked. Press S. Okay. Obviously we're going to enhance Chain Lightning. So next we're going to head off over here and begin Act 2. Not looking too hot for these guys, is it? Look at the attention to detail on the...
I didn't even start at Act 2 until I completely cleared Kyoboshad. Even though you need to progress the main story to get your mount and be level 30 to get your mount, it's just fun. Just traveling around and getting like nearly everything in one area till you move on to the next one. That's just the way I am, and I can recommend it. It's more fluid, I guess.
Floor.
Not efficient, but in my opinion more fun.
Yeah. This giant floor mural. There's some pieces missing to it. Here the audio of my footage got corrupted, but basically we had some cutscenes laying the story for Act 2.
Great cutscenes.
We killed some mobs, ventured to a new town called Serigar, which had a Scottish Highlands theme to it. I continued to zoom into various pieces of environment to admire the attention to detail. We had a pretty cool boss fight against an old lady.
Some will die,
Yeah.
yes,
Good one.
but that is the way of nature.
We dinged level 25. This unlocked my ultimate,
You always get Inferno.
giving me a massive temporary power boost whenever I used it, causing me to feel really powerful for the next few levels.
If you ain't cut me loose, you can piss right off.
Then we followed a good boy into a blood forest where his owner was being drained of blood after signing a pact with Lilith. From his blood grew a giant multi-headed hellhound amalgamation.
Bro, I struggled with this boss. It was a bit hard.
Which escaped us before we could kill it. We put the wolf's owner out of his misery, returned to Elderheim, which was under attacks, killed a lot of mobs, then faced the finale of Act 2, which was a boss fight against
Also
Donan's
great.
son, who had turned into...
I hope we get a better Astaroth fight, like repeatedly one in like a random dungeon, where he's like 10 times stronger and does more damage and is faster. But this fight's aesthetically 10 out of 10.
to a demon and was now riding the giant hellhound from earlier. Some fairly cool boss fights and cutscenes in this section of the game. We finished Act 2 at level 27 with a shiny new legendary staff. I do tend to do all of these events that just pop up whilst I'm playing. Ooh, we got a legendary from that one. Treasure goblin.
Nice.
Big
Lucky.
damage. Get back here, you little goblin. Oh, another legendary. Legendary's starting to drop more frequently.
Bro,
Another
how
new-
lucky is this dude? Like, my first Legi was on like level 35 by a treasure goblin. And after that, it took also a shit ton of time till I get another one. Like, what is with your luck?
Town,
It's insane.
Kedbadu. Grab the waypoint. And let's begin Act 3. Wake up, Loraf. Someone's summoning something. Oh, and he's summoned a boss. This guy's going down pretty quickly. I don't know if he's just an easy boss or if I am incredibly overpowered now that I've got this legendary staff. Why don't we just slit his throat right now? He's literally just kneeling there. Oh, now we've got double bosses. Damage, and it's dead. Just arrived at some kind of monastery. This area looks unique compared to the other places I've been to. Big damage.
Yep. Kind of gave me Tristram vibes a bit.
Level 29. Add another point in glass cannon. Looks like the Abbot is burning the library.
And I hope they're going to add all the areas of D1, D2, and D4 with add-ons, DLC. I don't care. It must be done.
I deserve to burn with the rest of it.
It's going to turn
In a way, kind of a Genshin Impact progression, if you know what I mean.
into a monster.
With new meta iterations.
Was I correct? Yeah, kind of. We made short work of that boss. What the hell is that? He just pulled a hand out of his belly.
Elias would have to fix
Now a foot. This game has no chill. I was hoping that they'd have fixed this for the full release. Oh, come on. Another new area. Grab the
Sometimes
waypoint.
happens.
Beautiful. This is a dungeon entry.
This view was legendary, man. And there's another one where you go to the bridge, which should lead to the city, but you can't get into because that bridge is broken. You need to find another way. And it is a moment where you can also look at the city, and it was horrifying and terrifying. The blood, the gore, 10 out of 10. I love that city.
Entrance, apparently. From level 15 to level 25, I did feel kind of weak, but now I'm feeling strong again. Didn't know my character could do a bit of parkour like that. Bad things happened at the entrance to this prison. Parkour. I've just realised that I'm almost level 30 and I haven't ran into the Butcher yet, not even once. I mean, even when I played
He comes pretty rarely in them. It's insane.
this game during the beta, I ran
But when he comes, he's truly a challenge.
into the Butcher, like fairly early on, like level 12 or something. Level 30. So now I've hit level 30, we've also got another enchantment slot. So now that I've put Firebolt as my enhancement, even though I'm not attacking with Firebolt, enemies are now burning. Now that all of my attacks inflict burning, I'm basically using every sorcerer element. Bit of fire, bit of frost, bit of lightning. This specific wall looks very nice. Look at the detail on that brickwork. I keep just wanting to zoom in on everything. I guess this is going to be my next boss fight.
And so will.
Roll angry. Another
I
boss
laughed at
fight.
that moment, man.
Mother's Judgment. Right, let's see how quickly we can delete this boss with my new power increases. Making relatively short work of it so far. Deleted. Well, that's just lovely. This place is just full of dead bodies. Yo. There's not even any monsters around. Bring Loraf to Diablo's shrine. Probably heading towards the final boss fight of Act 3 inside of here. Temple of the Primes. I love the detail on all of the rock here. The stone steps. I love killing the frozen mobs because if you kill them before they unfreeze, they shatter.
Yeah.
And it just feels really satisfying. This is cool. Loraf's here to stop Elias. Stabs him through the neck. Slay the Tyrant King Brawl.
Bro, I needed to reskill my barb build here. I couldn't have beaten the Tyrant. It took me like 5 tries. And after I thought to myself, damn. Am I doing something wrong? It's insane.
He does hit hard. Respect the boss. And he is dead. Legendary Focus. Artillery Shrine. Part of me kind of wishes there was more mob density, because whenever I get these shrines, I like to decimate everything in the area just for fun, but usually within 10 seconds everything's dead and I just run out of things to kill. Once again my audio was messed up, but basically Act 4 started by following an old man through a giant desert. Here you'd take periodic damage from a sandstorm, and as much as the visual effect here was really cool, this for me was by far the most tedious and unenjoyable part of the campaign. Escorting NPCs for a long period of time in any game is just not fun.
It is
We
what
made
it
it
is.
through the desert to a temple where we proceeded to fight Elias over and over again. This guy would not stay dead. We saw one of the most brutal cutscenes I've ever seen in a game of a guy being eaten alive by 3 dogs. Eventually we recovered an artifact that allowed us to see the location of Lilith. Unfortunately, Elias finds us first and does a ritual that turns a girl into our next boss fight. Boss defeated, new legendary gloves, and that concluded Act 4, allowing me to finally go back to town and pick up my mount. For the next part of the game, we basically did various quests to try and find a way to kill Elias permanently. Here I started to get a bit frustrated at the lack of mob density in this part of the game. As I was getting more powerful, I just wanted to get zerged by hundreds of mobs, but up to this point the packs of enemies felt too small to really have satisfying encounters. We arrived at some creepy tree called the Tree of Whispers that houses the heads of anyone that makes a deal with it once they die. Eventually we killed Elias permanently, and after a cool boss fight and cutscene, we learned the location of Lilith thanks to an ally making a rather unfavourable trade with the tree. At this point I was level 37 and ready to begin Act 6, the campaign finale. Blood is raining from the sky. Level 38. Oh, that's nice, big dense pack. Shattered to pieces, that's fun. What the hell is that? Looks like a pit lord from World of Warcraft. Oh no, he's put us in his belly. Okay, we survived that. Somehow. Brutal. Blood and guts everywhere. Legendary boots. Here it is. The Gates of Hell. Another cutscene. Menacing music intensifies. Level 45 plus, apparently. So I might be a bit under-leveled for this. This is so much better in terms of mob density. I'm glad it's picking up a bit more. I like the fact that this area...
I had no problem with mob density because... Does it have something to do with the world here? I don't know.
Level 45 is just a recommendation and the game doesn't hard enforce it. It's nice having the freedom to come here under-leveled if you want to. Requires level 40. Okay, yeah, we're getting way stronger gear now. Almost died there. Ooh, legendary amulet. The recent upgrades that I've had are very significantly increasing my damage. Oh, the god almost one-shot me. Almost every time I've come close to dying is because of like killing a bunch of mobs and then one of them explodes upon death. And I just don't notice or I don't get out of the way. Loot is becoming a little bit more interesting now. Oh, that's a big boy.
That's a world
Giant
boss.
hell dragon. Fairly easy to avoid all of his attacks so far. Let's see if there's more mechanics as we get him lower. Got the ulti. Oh, look at our damage now. We're hitting over 1,000 finally. Right, so when our friends bring him down like that, he takes increased damage. You got a legendary for me, Mr. Hell Dragon? Yes, you have a staff.
Obviously.
Don't mind me, just pop in from hell back to town to empty my bags. This is some epic looking environment. So this is a serious cutscene because it's gone all cinematic mode. Mate, she's awfully composed considering there's an army of demons running at her. Balls of steel.
Remember this one.
300 Diablo
Watching on
style.
YouTube,
This is
it was
insane. Absolute top tier cinematic. They should make a movie about Diablo. I'd watch it if it's like this all the way through. We've had a Warcraft movie. We're due a Diablo movie at this point. Mate, that's a bad way to die. Getting killed by a random wall object. Donan's made it this far and he's died to a bloody wall. There's no way. Slaughtered thousands of enemies. And you die because you wander off and touch a wall. I'm guessing this is where our final battle takes place. Now Lilith's arrived. We're finally fighting Lilith. I'm assuming there's going to be many, many phases of this fight. Probably kill the ads. Lots of things to avoid. Almost got her. Finish her off.
It's just not all.
Finish her. I think we've killed her. Level 40. Maybe we have killed her. Item enchanting unlocked. Oh, here's phase 2.
Nope.
I thought there'd be a phase 2. Makes sense. If there wasn't a phase 2 to this fight, I would have been a little bit disappointed. Visually spectacular fight so far. Dodge this, dodge this, dodge this. Dodge all of these. Oh, they hurt. Those things hurt. Oh, the platform's getting smaller now. How long has that been happening for? I've only just noticed. Big damage. Is that it? Have we finally fully killed her? Or is there going to be a phase 3? Really cool boss fight, to be fair. I like that the platforms were disappearing as we were taking her out.
There's more.
And thus, she is defeated. I suppose all that's left to do now is head back to town and grab a beer in the tavern. 25% of the resource cost is refunded. That's incredible. Complete
Dang.
Act 6. It is done. And that wraps up the campaign. Now for the fun stuff. Going around the map, doing all these objectives, making our character
I recommend doing them first before boss fight.
overpowered and fully realizing the power of the mage. After beating the campaign, I went on a long dungeon grinding session off camera, unlocked world tier 3 from beating the capstone dungeon, and got to level 56. It was at this point where I started to feel like my lightning build wasn't strong enough to continue playing, so after spending a bit of time reading guides on max roll, I respec'd to Ice Shard Sork. Now initially I didn't like this build because 1, I didn't understand it too well, 2, I didn't have the gear for it to truly shine, and 3, I felt like I had 0 damage or mana when my Frost Nova was off cooldown. Eventually though, this build did start to grow on me, and once I understood it better, I was having fun. Next I decided it was time to fully uncover the map and work on my renown levels. In hindsight, I started working on this kinda late, and I wish I dedicated more time to it during the leveling process rather than waiting until later. Whilst uncovering the map, I also decided to start hunting down all of the altars of Lilith, which were expertly hidden by Blizzard, as I only managed to find 1 or 2 of these myself just playing the game normally for the campaign. I went to the town and finally decided to spend some time checking out the transmog system. Naturally, this led me to the cash shop where I couldn't help myself pick up a few outfits to upgrade my fashion game. I also really like that all of the outfits can be dyed too. I can imagine over time as more armor and cosmetics are released, Diablo 4 transmog competitions could start to have some real potential. Oh, and I also picked up a mount
I want to see that on Asmon's channel.
skin too. I couldn't help myself. I went back out into the world, killed a world boss with 10 other players, dinged level 58, checked out Hell Tides, which seem cool but are perhaps not as rewarding as other forms of endgame progression. I did some Legion events, I cleared all the strongholds, did some Tree of Whispers bounties, dinged level 59, finished uncovering the map, and then the
Looks great.
servers went down for the day. Big mobs, big damage, nuked. I love it when they're all just stacked on top of each other like that. Is so fun. Here is our final altar of Lilith, and now we have collected every single one of those in the game. With that, all of the additional stats that you get from collecting those should go over to my alt characters. So next time I make a level 1 alt, they should be pretty damn powerful right off the bat.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is clearing all of the side dungeons that give me mage rewards. So right now I'm doing my first nightmare dungeon. I've got 12 revives. Oh, these mobs are only level 54. I guess this is like entry level tutorial nightmare dungeon. Nightmare dungeon complete. And what's this we've got? I'm excited for when mana stops being an issue with this build and I can just spam my ice spikes. Traveling merchant's tack, cosmetic horse armor. Yo, I got a skin drop from a dungeon. Time we go on a nightmare dungeon
On an event vault
session. I need to unlock some more glyphs, and I also need to hunt down some uniques. Some object just following me around. Does it hurt me? No idea what it's doing. Oh, okay. So you can get a resource called sigil powder and use it to craft the relevant sigils for your power level. The tier 8 sigils are probably a good one for me to do right now. Oh, beautiful. That's level 60. Oh no, not a protect the NPCs quest. I always fail these. My build is just not good for the quests where I need to keep NPCs alive. I just simply run out of mana as the mobs are spawning. I got a legendary even though they died. Probably didn't deserve it. So this is a tier 11 nightmare dungeon. Got a giant stone thing following me around. I'm assuming I don't want it to catch up to me, and why is that so creepy having that thing follow me? I've had a few close calls to dying on these nightmare dungeons, but I haven't died yet. But I haven't died yet.
happens.
As I was saying literally 1 minute ago, I hadn't died in a nightmare dungeon yet. Dungeon complete. This one didn't even have a final boss. Tier 19 nightmare dungeon, and we've got this bloody thing following me around again.
Big experience.
Going from tier 11 to tier 19, it was a bit of a jump. It was a bit ambitious. And maybe we can do it if we just take it slow. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Wee.
Was it worth it? I don't know.
Stop. Fucking absolute just one shot. Fucking kill that thing. Okay, at least I got that. I can run past this mob. 4 revives remaining. There's no way we're gonna kill the boss, surely. Like, if we're dying to random elite mobs, granted they do big damage, what's this boss gonna do to me? Well, let's see how we do. Sliver level 72. And I didn't stand in the bubble. I hate that mechanic. Almost got it. There it is. That was difficult. I'm not ready for tier 19 nightmare dungeons. We need to upgrade that gear a bit. Feeling confident after beating the tier 19 nightmare dungeon, I decided to get cute and attempt the level 70 capstone dungeon to unlock world tier 4 at level 61, thinking it was just as doable. Turns out, it wasn't. Wait, we've done way harder content than
Never
this.
is.
Someone spoke too soon. Oh my god! Dodge, freeze, dodge, dodge. Oh my. Are we strong enough? I actually don't think so. There's a mobilize. We can do some damage here. Dude, I dodged that though. I've spent an hour on this bloody capstone dungeon and we can't do it. To be fair, it was a bit ambitious trying to do this at level 61. Made some decent progress on my sorcerer. Level 62, basically just going to be grinding dungeons, getting my gear up and then doing the capstone. I think what I want to do now though is test out what it's like to make an ult in this game, because I've heard that the game's quite ult friendly and I really want to make a barbarian. You've unlocked the ability to skip the campaign on any of your characters.
Nice.
Giga Damage will be his name. Here he is, level 1. Spawn into the town. Oh, each character has their own renown system. I'm actually surprised. I thought this was account-wide. It just made sense to me that it was account-wide. Like the whole renown system, I just thought, yeah, that's got to be account-wide, right? I'm not gonna lie, the fact that I need to uncover the entire map again on my ult has made me not want to play my ult. At least my ult gets his horse at level 1. After seeing that the entire renown system wasn't account-wide and I couldn't make progress towards my Sorks level 5 renown by doing dungeons on my barbarian, as well as the map needing to be uncovered again, I lost any motivation and excitement I had in regards to making an ult. Yes, I'm aware that skill points, altars of Lilith, potions and codex powers are account-wide, but I just kinda had the assumption that all of the collectible things were a one and done kinda thing. Seeing that it wasn't made me log back into my main.
Hell is coming.
Resist her temptation!
So after playing Diablo 4 for a week since its full release, my pros and cons for the game so far are as follows. Pros. The game has by far the best visuals in the ARPG genre. The sheer amount of detail in the environments, the effects, lighting and overall style, nothing really comes close to Diablo 4 in this regard. The voice acting was S tier throughout the game, the cinematics and storytelling is also best in genre. In terms of gameplay, it feels quite smooth and polished, pretty much what you'd expect from a Blizzard game. The user interface is extremely clean and well designed. If you're new to ARPGs and are typically put off by overwhelming talent trees, I think Diablo 4 does a good job of easing new players into it with its build systems. Opening the skill tree initially isn't very overwhelming, and by the time you've unlocked the Paragon system, you're most likely ready for more depth of build to be added at that point. I quite like that the game has a lot of collection content with the renown system, and I appreciate that most of the benefits of this systems are account-wide. It was something that I enjoyed working through once, but we'll touch on that more later. The game has some really cool boss fights. As far as ARPGs go, it felt like a hybrid between ARPG and MMO, with content such as open world PvP areas, world bosses, legion events, and seeing other players out in the world. I think the game has a decent amount of variety in gearing options once you finish the campaign with Helltides, Tree of Whispers, Nightmare Dungeons, Legion events, world bosses, renown farming and strongholds. Additionally, I like that when you beat the campaign you've got various milestones to aim towards on your journey to level 100. The capstone dungeon at level 50 to unlock world tier 3, the capstone dungeon at level 70 to unlock world tier 4, and the final endgame boss at level 100. These goals at least give you something to grind towards towards late game. However, I wish there was something like this every 10 levels just to keep players motivated during the grind. Cons. I actually thought it took a long time for the combat to become super satisfying in Diablo 4. From levels 25 to 40,
it's much faster in D3. I don't know about D2, but it could be too overwhelming for most casual players. That's the thing.
Didn't really feel like my playstyle changed all too much, and leveling up didn't feel like it made a big difference. I think early game the power increases and playstyles of all the classes feel a bit too sensible. It wasn't until I got to 56 and changed my build that I started to have those wow moments with the combat. I actually didn't enjoy the dungeons in Diablo 4 too much, as they're designed with a lot of backtracking. To be honest, I wish they were more linear, and I could just go forward and kill stuff without having to worry about navigation. Also, the slay all enemies tasks are rather annoying.
Yeah.
It would be better if you didn't have to slay 100% of them. Perhaps just 90% of them would be better. As I started to approach the mid to late game, I've found that sorting through my gear has become a nightmare. There's no search functionality for keywords in the storage to help me find specific gear. I also think there's too little storage space.
Especially with the gems where we take too much space.
I dislike that gems take up inventory space, and I think they should have a separate bag similar to aspects. As much as level scaling has its benefits with high levels playing with low levels, it creates some cases where a low level player will be dealing more relative damage to mobs than high levels. It feels weird to level up and not really feel that you're stronger when fighting the same mobs in the world. Personally, I'm not a fan of level scaling like this, but I can understand why it exists.
I think
Early
it's
game
good.
class balance needs some work, especially for classes like Druid, which look like potatoes in the early game, but gods in the late game.
Yeah, I made a druid and it is the struggle right now, but we still work on it.
Realistically, most casual players won't stick through the early game slog on these classes to truly see them shine, so I think more focus needs to be done in making sure every class is fun and powerful early game. I thought the mob density was lacking during the campaign and content pre-World Tier 3, thankfully it does pick up later on though. And finally, I think that the entire Unknown system feels like it should be a one and done kind of thing, where progress is shared across all characters. This goes for the uncovering of the map too. If this was the case, I'd be knee deep in Demon Blood playing my Barbarian right now. Overall, Diablo 4 is a quality ARPG that I think pretty much everyone will get their money's worth from buying. There's easily 60 to 100 hours of fun content and progression here for even the most casual of players, and for the hardcore players, they'll probably be hitting a few thousand hours once seasons, new classes, and expansions start to release.
We will stick for a while.
I think pretty much all of the cons I listed are easily fixable, and I think with updates the game will become even better with even more goals to aim towards. Even still, in its current state, I think Diablo 4 is worth playing and I had a lot of fun with it. This will likely be a game I return to in the future for updates and play in my spare time, slowly making progress towards level 100 and maybe playing some alts. But that's it for this video. Shout out to Blizzard for the sponsorship and allowing me to talk freely about the game. Click the link in the description below to buy Diablo 4 now, and tell me what you think about the game so far in the comments below. Social media on screen, thanks for watching, and
The thing is, they made a solid groundwork for a game which can grow. That's the thing. And if they mess that up, it will be disappointing. But if they keep going like this, there's nothing stopping them. Like, it's good, it was great. As well as this video, go leave a like and subscribe to TheLazyPeon and to me as well if you want to see more of this content. I would really appreciate a like and sub, and I guess that's it. I guess see you next time. Wafer.